YouTubers. Today we have another new bike to play on, and this bike is really interesting because it is Honda's new NX500 or CB500 NX, whatever you want to call it, and this is the replacement now for the CB500X. Now why this is very interesting, and when we do the walk round I'll show you why. But it really is pitching Honda's new, if you like, baby adventure bike into their 3-bike lineup now. And we're now getting a very defined 3-bike lineup from Honda in this sector. So you will have this, and you will then have the Transalp with the 750 engine, and then the Africa Twin with its 1100 engine. And they really have up the styling on this, and you know, there's some features on here which are really quite impressive, some which I'm not that stuck on, to be honest with you, and some more bits and pieces that Honda have done. But what we'll do, we'll have a quick look around the bike, and then I'll take each function or major part. So I'm going to look at the engine, the suspension, the controls, and the comfort, because that could be interesting. So I shall see you in a minute. Right, here we are, the NX500. So what are my first impressions? I think it's a good looking bike, that's for sure. Not sure about the blacky grey colour, but as a styling effort, you can now see where the influence of the Transalp is coming in. And Africa Twin, just got to look at the shoulders on the tank there. It's a family trait now, isn't it? And that's exactly what Honda are doing. They're following Triumph and BMW and people like that to put a family together of bikes, and this is a family of 3. You can see here with the shoulders on that tank, because underneath essentially it is a CB500X, but they've really thought, well, how can we now get some familiarity in this little group of bikes, and this they have certainly done. So if we look at the dashboard, this will be very familiar to Transalp owners. We've got the TFT straight off that bike. So you've got a central display, and around the outside in the dark there you've got your indicator lights and warning lights. Very clear, really concise, great. It doesn't share though is the Apple Play, and it has its own Honda sync system for the sat-nav, which I would say is not the best. So it's run directly off this toggle switch, and that alters the settings on the dash. This sync system, I don't rate that very much. It's very similar to the B line, meaning that you have just the direction, not a map. All the other switches are very conventional on here, and very high quality. Switchgear on Hondas is always very good, and you know it's always going to be very, very reliable. So nothing to upset you there. Really good. It's sort of what you expect from Honda, isn't it, really? The one glaring omission on this bike, though, it has no USB. It's got a hole for a USB. I don't know why Honda are doing this. Even the Transalp doesn't have a USB. It's an option on this bike, and that, which seems a massive oversight, really, because it just gives you something to other manufacturers to beat you with, doesn't it? Having said all that, though, the cabin on this bike, if you like, is really laid out well, and it's probably one of the best I've ever seen, actually, to be honest with you. Suspension wise, so we have rear shock adjustable for preload only. So we have the Showa front forks, Honda own Showa, I believe, so that's why they're on there. But let's try those out. I thought we'd get out on the road then and have a better look at that suspension and see how it's really set up on this bike, because that's a bit of a deal breaker on any adventure bike. And if Honda are going to put this in that category now,
they need to be seen to be getting it right. So let's have a see how this suspension setup works.
Right, let's see what the suspension's like over humpity bumps, because down this bit of road here we've got these really annoying speedy humps, and we should go through them gently. Have some respect for the bike. Let's see what it goes like over here. Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah. It's actually softer than I was expecting. I was thinking to be quite jarred on this. And that rear suspension is quite bad. It could almost do with a bit more damping, but it's I'm getting probably 2-3 bounces before the suspension settles, which is quite interesting. That's okay. It's okay. Live with that. A couple more of those bumps. They'll give you to the speed limit. Threw me off the seat that time. Interesting. Threw me off the seat that time. It's okay, you know. It does need a bit more damping, I would say. That'd be my view. 25 miles an hour. I mean, I don't think these are more than you expect. I mean, you'd find dips in the road as big as this. Yeah. No, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Right, so that's given the suspension a bit of a workout. And I will say I was incredibly impressed with that suspension. Those speed humps are those big long rubber ones you get. They're sort of rubbery, aren't they? And that handled those really well, but it does need some damping. So just in regards weather protection, so the screen is a little bit low, and I was getting blown on my helmet quite a bit, and that's because of the upright stance of this bike. But these shoulders were giving protection to my legs, and I wasn't wearing long johns, and I didn't really get cold today, so that was really good, pretty impressive. But the biggest plus on this bike by far, and I will talk more about it later, is the engine. I'll put the specs up on the screen there for you. But, you know, just under 50 horsepower, this is a phenomenal engine. So let's go for a ride and chat about that now. So this engine, I don't mind telling you, I was somewhat gobsmacked. I did come to this bike having a slightly preconceived idea that it was going to be a bit vibratey, a little bit asthmatic, being a 500. And I don't know why that. After coming off the back of the Triumph and also using my Scram 400 and that, and both those bikes are great anyway, but this was a revelation, and I can't stress that highly enough. We will do some accelerating with this bike once we travel on this bit in a bit, but this engine was so smooth, the power so direct. As I've already said, it's got the fly-by-wire throttle on here, which some of the fly-by-wires can be a little bit twitchy in that you only need a little bit of movement on throttle in it and it'll pull away a bit too sharp, but not so in this case. It was superb. I'll let you enjoy a bit of this ride, and so you can hear the engine and you'll be able to take some of my thoughts in, my initial impressions of the bike while I was riding it. So I'll catch you all again in a bit.
So what are my general first impressions then? So the sitting on the bike here and what I've got in front of me is actually really impressive. I've got quite a lot of bike in front of me. You do sort of feel as if you're, you know, the dash and the front of the bike are very much out there in front. That might sound quite odd, but they look quite a long way away. The dash and the screen do look a long way away, and that's obviously because they're trying to give it a bit more road presence, really. But first impressions of it, I actually really like this bike. It certainly feels very sprightly. The handling is quite quick. This bike's only got 42 miles on it, but it certainly feels very, very nice. Let's see.
Very difficult to get a sense of the bike when you're watching video, but that was nowhere near full throttle. That was extraordinarily impressive on being on that bike. It really does feel more like a 750, this thing, and it handles the power really well. The frame is stable, there's no vibration. Wow. I wish I'd ridden this bike a long time ago. Obviously it only came out this year, but I'll be very interested to see what a CB500X is like compared to this, but this is shaping up to be a really impressive piece of kit.
So the brakes, what do we think about the brakes? Well, I'm on a relatively quiet road here. Let's try that from the back. Wow. You can see that dive there. So that does tell me that the suspension is going to be quite supple. Yeah, I'm not having to put much tension on that brake. Yeah, progressive, typical rear brake really. You almost feel you've got to really stamp on it to make it do anything, but it's nice. And remember, all your efficiency is in the front brake anyway, on the motorbike. So we're going to come up to quite a big hill in a minute, and I'm going to see what that engine does coming up the tall hill. Now I'm 17 stone, give or take, give a bit probably more. But let's see what it does. I'm going to keep it in fourth, and we got quite a well, it's a very steep hill. We used to come down. It's a good ride our push bikes up here. We could come screaming down this hill. But see which one. I'm going to leave it in fourth, doing 30 miles an hour. Just see if it will pull up with me having to change down, and just see what the real sort of torque is on that engine. Just let it against you a little bit. Well, that's impressive. I know it doesn't look like much. Your cameras never pick out hills, do they? These action cameras. But that I didn't try to accelerate. I just got a little bit on there. That pulled up really, really easy there. 30 miles an hour in fourth. That's impressive. I will also say that the bike does sound really good. You may be able to pick that up. But their twins, Honda twins, really do have a great sound. Even my NC750 has a really good sound, and that's with a completely stock exhaust, which is really nice.
So I've put a little bit of film of some of the handling together for you, but this bike really did handle well. So I hope you enjoy it. I put some music over it because the mic was getting blown out. But enjoy this little bit, and I'll see you again in a sec. So let's have a look at the fit and finish of the bike. It's up to Honda's normal standard, really, which is incredibly high, isn't it? What I did notice though was these. They look like braided hoses, but they're not. They're like a shroud or sleeve that's going on there, which looks good. I don't know how much purpose that serves. Probably protect the hoses for a bit. The welding, I've never seen a bad Honda weld, to be honest with you. I presume they're all done by a machine. Paint finish is very good. Um, I'm not a huge lover of all black bikes, but this has got like a fleck in it, and it's matched onto the bar, so that was very, very good. Now that seat was hard. It was very similar to my NC750 standard seat. I hope this isn't a trend we're seeing with Honda, but they're not good seats. I wouldn't say my backside was numb by the end of this, but I noticed it. I noticed how hard it was, and that was a little bit frustrating. The problem will be if you want to put a gel seat on here or something, you're going to be sitting way over the top of the bars on this, because you are sitting on it rather than in it, this bike. Which is fine as it is, but I think if you raise that seat, you're going to be in. It's not going to feel so comfortable as it does without it. So I thought I'd give you the roundup thoughts on this bike after playing with it all morning, and I have to say I am absolutely smitten with this bike. It is an adventure bike, without a doubt. It fits into their range really well. Um, I'd almost wish they'd call this the baby Transalp, because it really is that. The upgrades on that suspension, the front showers, the twin rotors on the rotors or discs on the front. It needs that rear shock assaulting a little bit. Could do with some damping, but I expect there would be aftermarket ones for this. And the seat, yeah, that's something that could be played with. But I think if you put this in Transalp colours, or at least gave it gold wheels and a white paint finish, it'll be a really impressive piece of kit. And I would seriously think about buying this bike. Um, what else can I say? So I hope you enjoyed the video, and that I put across that I really am impressed with this motorbike. But I've got to disappear off and return this bike, which I don't really want to, because I've had a thoroughly enjoyable morning on this bike. But thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. We've got some really interesting bikes coming up soon, so I will see you in the next video. Ride safe and look after yourselves.